Ready.
Take 1 of 150. Brandon and I like to talk. What's up, everybody? Matt Nuzzo hanging out here at Reel with no other than Triple S 200-time winner, Brandon Scheid.
Hello, everybody. Hello, hello.
So Brandon and I were just reminiscing about the days old. Brandon, how old were you when you came down to Reel?
When I first came here, I was 17 years old. Yeah.
17.
Yeah, about 20 years ago. Yeah.
It's crazy, man. We're getting old, bro.
Yeah,
Hey, we're still out here having fun, and taking sessions. So
Yeah.
good little story. Brandon was just like, he's like, yeah, man. He's like, you totally bailed me out. He's like, first time I came down here, I knew how to kite. I thought I knew how to kite, and you're like, whoa, dude, hold on, slow your pace here. Let me take your kite. Launched his kite, walked his kite out, put him out in the water so he didn't go wreck himself, and
I didn't even know what a downwinder was. Like, you want to go on a downwinder? I was like, yeah,
let's go.
whatever that is, we're doing it. We're going downwind.
Ponytail boy he was doing backflips on the trampoline and stuff, and then now he's like, top level kiter, winger. Put any water sport in this kid's hands, he's going to crush it. So today, Brandon is now working for Slingshot.
True fact, yeah.
And you're a designer with them, tester?
So yeah, I'm head of, me and my cohort Fred, we kind of manage the whole testing department. So everything Slingshot goes through the hours testing, the durability testing, the performance testing is kind of routed through the two of us. Right. Obviously, it's a much larger team that ultimately touches everything, but it's to help try to close the design circle. So the engineer can be like, hey, this came in today. We'll be like, sweet, we're going to ride it today. We give the feedback. He can tweak the design that night, and the next file is submitted immediately. So it helps us like kind of close that cycle. So
it's so nice where you guys test too. Is like when your HQ is literally looking over the event site.
Yeah, it's really great. We're grounded in Hood River. Slingshot's based in Hood River, and we can walk. The essential of the same thing here. Really, you walk out the door and you can be on the water.
Right. That's so great for testing for your job. I mean, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
And with the code, like, who did you guys like? Who's the customer you're focusing on for the code?
Yeah, so the code is a new kite in our line. It's the first iteration of it, and the focus was, I don't want to say it's for everybody because that's kind of a generic term, and people read through that, but the idea here is to give people a kite that is extremely easy to use across a wide variety of conditions. We like to call it like I think of it as like a progression kite. So you're happy to give it to your friend. He's maybe done his first water starts. You're like, okay, go have fun. He's going to be able to ride that right away, all the way to our highest level team rider that competes in the King of the Air. These are the kites that he uses in that same capacity.
Sick.
So you have a kite
because of stability, like King of the Air is like because you can ride it way over
large range on the bar, really comfortable. You always know where the kite is because you have good bar input.
Right.
And then we focused really hard on making the kite really drive through a turn. So as it's coming out of the bottom of that turn, whether that's in a loop or whether that's when you're signing for power, like where's the wind, you have really good smooth climb, and that climb that makes a kite loop really well, as well as makes it work really well when you're like in a normal capacity.
Stalling on the on the upswing,
Yeah,
and also same thing like when you're going to jump or whatnot.
Yeah, so basically he likes it because he can hold a bunch of power. He's pulls in the bar, he gets a lot of load spike, and then when it loops, it's not turning on itself and like not making any power. It's really driving through and giving him that comfortable loop shape. And then, like I said, that whole thing, it's great for kite loops or whatever, but for the everyday kite boarder, that means you have a large sweet spot to engage the power and feel where the power is in the kite. You don't have a bar pressure that you're like, where is this thing? I have no idea. And then you have really easy like relaunch characteristics and stuff for confidence. The stuff we take for granted now in everyday modern kiteboarding. Kites that relaunch great. You may think, oh yeah, a kite but that wasn't the case 10 years ago, right? So
it wasn't the case a couple years ago.
It's trying to help bring the Slingshot kite line a little bit one step forward into the modern era of kite design, and just kind of give those users something great that they love on the water. Yeah,
and I'll give you an example. A buddy of mine, Dogman, shout out to Dogman up in Maine, and all those guys, they ride through the whole winter and stuff, and he was riding the RPMs for years, and he was like die-hard RPM guy, loved those kites, and he wanted to get something that just had that more range, had more loft than the RPM, and so he got on the codes, and he's like, calls me after every single session. Hey, man, I can't believe it. Everyone's saying I'm jumping twice as high as I was. He's like freaking out. Like he just absolutely freaking out about how stoked he is. He got, 7.912.
Yeah.
And his progression, because of this kite, like you're saying, it's a progression kite.
Yeah.
It gave him a lot more confidence to ride in a bigger wind range.
Yeah.
Has better low end, so he can kind of ride it on the underpowered end. And then when he's overpowered, it's not like super heavy in the hands and kind of sketchy on him.
Yeah.
He just can go and kind of flick it easy and get really controlled loft, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he's like, you know, your average everyday kiter, good kiter, but now, you know, in his early 50s is leveling up, you know, still leveling up, and it was because the equipment changed. And, and, you know, in the design characteristics, like you were mentioning to me, kind of like, this is like a Rally GT on steroids, right? And so the Rally GT to me kind of always felt a little dopey and slow. This is, you know, by like your input, Fred's input, your new design team have really worked on kind of reshaping the kites, starting with the machine, coming to code, kind of just started back to the basics. Not this is what we've been doing, but like this is what we want to design a kite for, and let's just start from scratch. And so the code is kind of one of the first like products that you guys have really had your finger on and really been able to get off. So what are the key design specs that are going to make that kite ride how it does?
Yeah, so first and foremost, as with most kites, you know, there's a lot of talk about materials. So first is the material choice. We're using really high quality canopy. It's 4x4.
I'll do the Vanna White here. I'll go around the other side.
It's the stuff that everybody's using. It's Tasian. It's about as good as you can get for
Tasian.
canopy.
Nice.
It's light,
nice.
It's durable, it's strong. As you guys know,
you
for
said
years.
4x4, yeah, it's just solid,
Slingshot's been known for our durability for a number of years.
Since they started. I mean, kites were falling apart, and then
we made
Slingshot came along, and then they made kites that didn't fall apart.
Yeah, and then our airframe, right? So an airframe is essential. It provides the flex and twist. It provides the structure
like this, all
and durability.
This Dacron through here?
That would be anything that would typically be made of Dacron. And in our case, we're using the highest quality to lightweight ratio Dacron. It's very similar to you see in other kites, like the Exotech on the core. North also uses very similar Dacrons as us. They have their own name for it, but it's kind of all the same stuff. It's really high. The reason why everyone chooses to use it, it's extremely high quality. It offers the best cost to weight savings. You know, Alula's great, but it's really expensive. So the second thing is the shape. We have medium aspect. Maybe some people might say,
take a shot. You were around when the shot roll was in. Take a shot.
You remember when we were talking about essentially the Rally GT is a bucket. This is a little bit more like a blade, a little bit thinner, a little bit more efficient. It's going to sit further to the edge of the wind window, which means you're not going to be like fighting it to get upwind. You're just going. It's easy to ride. The bridle, as always, everyone will say, oh, we work precision tuned our bridles. But essentially what we did is we did a lot of work on the strings, the bridles, in order to make the bar engage in a really smooth and sweet spot. We don't want the sweet spot to be this big on the bar.
And then turns the power off,
and then it's done. Or we also don't want, when you pull all the way in, the kite's so oversheeted that you have to fly it in 50 knots for it to give you the boost, right? So we worked really hard on getting the sweet spot that feel really right. And then obviously, like, we can go into like a million nuances, wingtip shape and all this stuff, but essentially everything we worked on this kite was to try to make it just really predictable and really easy to use, because we found that even in extreme big air conditions, all the way down to regular conditions, when something is smooth and predictable, you feel comfortable trying things, because you're not worried about what, like, is my kite gonna fall out of the sky? Am I gonna deal with, like, you're just comfortable. So you're comfortable to try things. You
get better at kiteboarding when your gear, it just works and you don't have to think about it. You can think about, like, going, and particularly where you are in the gorge, like dodging traffic and the 8 different tacks and lines that people are coming at you on.
It's getting crazy.
It's really crazy. It's really crazy. But, you know, like, you could focus on kiteboarding and not like, where's my kite? What's it doing? What, you know, where is it? You know,
absolutely. So for me, this kite excels where we live. I've seen it work for people all over the world. It's just a really easy to ride 3-strut weight platform that keeps
5 meter to, what's the biggest size?
5 meter to 14.
Yeah, and then above 14, you got the specific.
We have a machine light wind, which is our kite that's specifically designed to work in light wind. It's 3 struts as well, but it comes in a 15 and 17. Same thing. She didn't go, just lots of power when you want it.
So you kind of, when you get to big sizes, you kind of need to change the shape. You know,
I mean, look, like certain kites start to break down in light wind, like that shape, like you just said, it no longer starts to work. You need to alter things in order for the constraints of the environment. You know, kites work way differently in 30 knots than they do in 15 knots.
And I see out there testing in all those conditions, and that's like a lot of people will just test, like, hey, we're gonna test, you know, their kite's working 15 to 25 when it's easy to kite. You know, but, you know, we see guys out there like swimming in because you're testing the low boundary of your gear. So kudos to you for putting out a great kite. The code, you know, really this is for the Slingshot kite that is the easy to ride progression kite, and that's, you know, it's not by any means a beginner kite. A beginner can ride it, but you do have that kind of top tier, top level rider that can get on these kites as well. Thank you so much for coming out and
no
shooting some
problem.
reviews with us. If you want more reviews, go to realwatersports.com or reach out online. Yeah, that's right. You can reach out online at realwatersports.com or give us a call at the shop, 252-987-6000. See you guys on the water. Thanks, Brandon.
Bye.